Hey everyone, Joe Carrell here today on the Plug-in Alliance channel. Excited to be with you. I haven't been on the channel for a little while, but as you know, or many of you will know at least, I'm a big fan of Plug-in Alliance products. I have them all over my mixes, all over my template. It's a fantastic toolbox, basically, just full of hundreds of incredible tools. But we'll take a look at the screen today and we see one of those tools that we've known and loved for quite some time, the SPL Vitalizer Mk2-T. But the exciting news today is that boom, in addition to the MK2, now that SPL has came out with their latest version, the Mk3-T, we now have that in plugin form. And not only do we have the Mk3, look, we still have the Mk2-T as well. So if there's things we really love about this one, because it does sound different, but we can take advantage of the new user interface, the scalable user interface, all of these various features like mono maker and the headroom button or headroom knob built in. It's really the best. We're going to have the best of both worlds now. All right, let's start diving in. So I have a song from my friend Phil French. Phil is a saxophone player. It's a modern jazz tune. And Phil, thank you so much for allowing us to use your multi-tracks for this demonstration. You're awesome, man. Everyone should look him up. He's a fantastic human being as well as saxophonist. So let's just go back to factory default. And what I've done is I've pulled up this mix, and the stereo bus has been basically removed. So there's the saturation that I had, any bus compression, equalization across the stereo bus, widening, all that's gone. So now you'll see, or hear rather, that it's a little flat and could use some help. Okay, one thing that I hear right away is the fact that it's now missing some of that sparkle that I would have added to the stereo bus. So right here, it's going to default somewhere around 10K, and I'm just going to start boosting that because that should be a really sweet spot. And remember, as we're boosting, we're not just getting more 10K, we're enhancing the harmonics around that area as well. So it's not something that most other tools do. It's doing it kind of it's doing things in a different way. Even set to 5 right there. Let's just hear it out. I mean, that sounds pretty. You would think that'd be really extreme, but it's sounded pretty darn good. Yeah, I mean that's a massive impact. So let's try that stereo widener. Now that's way too drastic, but you will see the correlation meter is still holding up. I love it. I'm a big fan of stereo wideners. I know some people are scared of them, and I get it. You know, years ago, there were hardware boxes and some software boxes that quite honestly were not very good, and so a lot of people still have a lot of fear. I'm fearless when it comes to wideners. If my mix sounds wider than the next guy's, I'm going to win the mix off. So I'm a big fan of these tools, and I think this is an excellent one. So let's check it out. Some 10K harmonic, some 10K lift along with the harmonics and the expander. I'll go in and out. That's a pretty massive difference. Let me set it back to factory default because we can always get that back. We know where we were, and let's kind of look at this. Well, first of all, let's set the bass compressor to kick in a little bit. Like when the kick drum impacts, because it's got a punchy low end. So that's going to tighten up. Not the mix. It's not audible. Remember, this is compressing the signal that's going into the processing. So it's not affecting our mix. So that's not something we have to worry about. In and out. Now just to the opposite of that, let's go to counterclockwise to the left here, and it's going to get softer and rounder. Okay, so now that's on the subtle side, right? Which is, that this is one of the things that make it really valuable for mastering engineers is the subtlety that not only very powerful, but some of the moves can be subtle. Okay, so now that said, here's something new that we can engage, split. So now we can tighten and soften at the same time. Let's turn these processors down. That's where we start getting really powerful. So you can really hear the low end punch is rounder and fuller, but at the same time, we're able to increase the leanness in the areas where it needs to be lean. Combine that with our high frequency EQ that we had and our widening, and let's see what we have. So the kick drum is now punching harder, but we also have that gloss on the top end. Check it out. An amazingly powerful tool for sure. Okay, so let's go back to our stereo default setting. And now in the mid band right here, we have the ability to process. Remember, this is controlling the psychoacoustic harmonic enhancement thing that's going on under the hood, and this is our center frequency here. So we can go from 1K basically all the way up to 22. So let's just start somewhere around 7K, and we'll take our processing down. And again, this is something that I have found personally that I use kind of sparingly. This knob is never going to be in this kind of a situation like I would maybe do here or here. But let me just kind of show you what it does. Oh, let's turn the low end off here. All right. You can really hear that if you turn it too far, you're really leaning out a lot of stuff around that center frequency. So it's best used sparingly in my experience, but it's nonetheless very powerful when you combine it with these other elements at unmasking certain things in the mid-range that allow some separation and clarity and detail. So let's set it for right around 2.8. Let's check out our before and after now. That is a powerful box. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to enhance the drive knob so we can hear that the amount of effect that we're hearing overall just grows. So all the harmonic excitement that we're doing, various things just are going to get turbocharged. And conversely, for our mastering friends that want to make sure, you can get a little radical with the knobs, so to speak, but you don't want to, if it's a pretty good mix and you're just trying to kind of rein it in just a little bit, make it just a little bit more finished sound and just a little more polished, a little more air, a little more tightness on the bottom end. You could do, turn this counterclockwise where the amount of processing is less heavy-handed. You can really hear kind of the mid-range become clearer. You can hear that little bit of expanded top end, but it's not drastic. So if this was really a solid mix that I had received to master, this kind of a setting would, using the less drive could be very effective. Very cool. And so a couple other things we can talk about here is the mono maker, which I did mention earlier. And what that does, it's real super easy. So just think of everything below 70 cycles being centered up in the stereo image. So 70 cycles are being removed from the far extremes, which can sound really good. Like I said, it's very effective for tightening up drum rooms and things like that, but it's effective for tightening up a lot of things, including a stereo bus mix. So now the punch of the kick drum, the punch of the bass guitar are going to be in mono for sure. Now they already were to a point, right? Because that's where they're panned in the stereo image. But you have other things like tom toms, electric guitars, keyboards, synths that do have energy below that range that's hanging out, and so that puts it in the middle. It's a very effective tool. I'm going to show you this bypass feature because I think this is really cool. So you can set it for various intervals. So let's just set it for 3 seconds and check out what it does. And watch this light right here. So you'll know when it's active. In fact, you can see it's already it's already doing it every 3 seconds, even when the playhead isn't rolling. But I think it's a really cool feature that they adopted from the SPL Iron. So it's really a cool way to check our work without kind of getting lost. You're sitting there clicking, you're not having to look at the screen. You can think more about what we're hearing and not what we're seeing, not what our hands are doing. I really like that feature. Instead of continuing on what's new and what all the knobs do, I know a lot of you guys already had this plug-in and you already know what all these knobs do. And so I don't want to focus on that much more other than to say it's very obvious to me that the Mk3 plugin it takes what was cool about the Mk2-T plugin and takes it up multiple steps. It's a fantastic upgrade. So those of you that have Mega Bundle, go grab it right now because it's absolutely worth it. So I want to dial in a couple things, and I've got this song from my artist friend Missy called Mr. Mysterious that has been on the channel before. I think I used this on another Plugin Alliance video one time. And I want to focus on one thing, and the stereo bus has been wiped. So you're not going to hear any saturation, compression, equalization, anything like that. So it's going to fall a little flat. Mysterious, you just shook up my world. I'm delirious, thinking I could be your girl. All right, so let's pretend like we're mastering engineers for a second, or mix engineers that get beats sent to us. And it really needs some rebalancing to make it set just right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this knob right here. I'm going to temporarily turn it way up here to like 22K, which is not where the snare drum is living. And I'm going to turn the process knob up quite a bit. And we're going to find where that snare drum is living, okay? So there's some real low, there's some mid punch right there, some gut punch. Now let's turn that all the way off and remind ourselves where we started. So we've dug out that snare drum. That snare drum is now popping a little bit by the expanded harmonic content that we're adding to that frequency. And so that's a really powerful tool. Remember, it's not EQ. It's harmonics in the way that our ear hears, and it's kind of catering to that. All right, so now let's add a little high frequency detail that we're missing for sure. I'm going to push this up here. Let's add too much, and I'm going to lower it down. So I'm way up here to 22K. I think that's how high it goes, or 20 maybe. And I'm going to lower it until it feels like we're affecting enough of the audio source that's there without getting too low, like in the 8K range or something, where it can maybe be a little chippy. So right there you can hear that we're really starting to affect the high-end energy of the transients themselves. So now let's just turn it off and boost it up until it sounds good. By adding that air to the top end, we need a little less of this process right here in the mids. Okay, now let's add some width. Oh man, listen to what it's doing to those synths. This is amazing. Okay, I mean they're wide now. There's some long reverb on them. It's a wide patch, but check it out now. Let's dial in the bass just a little. You know what? I'm going to use the new plug-in only option that we have here with this bass split, and I'm going to use both. Definitely getting more extension on that 808. And I'm going to take this up to around 60 cycles because I know that I can. I have that option here. Now let's turn on our fun little auto bypass, and it's going to be going in and out every 3 seconds. And let's just see what kind of difference we've made. Substantial. All right, so one other thing that I want to do is remember we have all our settings here that we've dialed in. We can get those same settings into the Mk2 sonic signature palette if we want to. So check it out. And let's make sure we're going, pretty heavy here. Hear just how different this sounds. So remember, we still have the sound that we know and love, or many of us know and love, but we also have this new, I think a lot of us would call an improved sound. All right, that is a quick look at the SPL Vitalizer Mk3-T, and it is quite an upgrade. Other than that, just have a good week, have a good day, and happy mixing.